Aishling, a double header here in Croke Park today. It was a bit strange. We're 5 days out from Christmas, no crowds, all a bit weird.
Yeah, very weird. I was coming up in the car this morning. I actually just said to my mother going out the door, I don't think I'm going to actually feel like it's real until I actually get to the stadium. Knowing her, she's a big, massive football fan. She was very jealous of me going out the door this morning, but it's an absolute privilege to be here, and I suppose to see the games today as well. It's a great honour to be here, and lucky for Meath as well. They're up now to senior, and for Dublin, sure, who's going to stop them?
I know, yeah, we'll talk about Meath first. So Meath and Westmeath, we've seen Westmeath come down from senior and they were hoping on this first attempt they go back up. But Meath finally got over the line, and you know all about that, having played against them in the All-Ireland final last year.
I have great respect for them as well. I suppose always back in Tip, we've had a few battles down through the years, so it's great to see them get up to senior this year. I suppose if they're going to look at another loss, mentally challenging for next year coming into this again, even facing the championship next year. So I'm delighted that they got over the line. Disappointed for Westmeath as well. They're a great side, but I'm sure they'll come back with their full force next year.
And you'll see them up competing in senior next year. It's great for them, and obviously the way Leinster is in the ladies senior, they'll be straight through to a Leinster final with Dublin. How do you think they'll get on there?
Well, the first thing I thought of when they won, I was like, oh God, here we go back now to Meath Tipperary rivalry. But next year facing Dublin, you never know. I suppose when you come up from intermediate, they have a lot of young players as well. They're not going to mind who they're playing against, so you never know. It's all on the day. We've seen many different things happening this year. I suppose Armagh nearly beaten Dublin, Donegal nearly beaten Dublin as well, and a freak goal goes in. So you just don't know on the day, but I'd give them every chance as well to put up to Dublin.
And then we'll move on to the senior final here today. The first half, it was low scoring. It ended up 1-5 to 1-10 in the end. Dublin just got the edge. What did you make of the game?
Looking at the first half, it was probably the first time ever that I saw Dublin's body language quite poor. Up front with Cork, I suppose if they'd capitalised a bit more on some chance that they got. For Dublin, on the other hand, they missed 2 or 3 goal chances in the first half, but as I said at half time, Mick Bowen obviously had a few words. They came out and they showed that the Dublin team, like they were the last 3 or 4 years, they were ferocious, their whole body language changed, their attitude and everything. So from the off, it looked like Cork were playing too far back the field. At one stage, I looked, Ciara Sullivan was on the 45-yard line and there was no forwarding behind her. And I suppose playing against a team like that, you need to be playing on the front foot and be willing to take chances. So I think from the off, from the second half, you could see that Dublin did have hold of the game. And I suppose Cork were just trying to crawl, and the more went on, then the body language with Cork turned. The table just completely turned from first half to second half.
What was that? Like, I didn't even recognise Dublin in the first half. You know, they normally play with a lot of confidence, and it was cagey.
It was very cagey, and I suppose if you look at the Armagh game before that, I suppose I had tipped Cork to win it today, because going by that and the way their attitude and body language and the way Armagh had opened them up in the semi-final, that's what I was going off. But I don't know, that happens. Favourites coming into a match, going for 4 in a row. It's obvious, we're all human, that's going to be in your subconscious mind, even though you're going to try to say it isn't. So I think coming into this game, Dublin probably were a bit nervy in the first half, and they settled themselves in the second half, and the table just completely flipped over.
And there's huge positives for Cork as well. We see they're such a young team. They're going through a bit of a transition from the years of, I'd say, since 2016 when they lost a lot of their Raina Buckleys, Breed Corkery, those big names. But they've so many young girls coming up.
Yeah, and you have to look at it as well. Some of them Dublin girls went through severe heartache. I actually remember, I was only talking to someone today, and I remember sitting over in the far corner here behind me looking at their match when they were up by about 5 or 6 points and Cork came back to win it. So I suppose there's a massive rivalry there between the two teams. Dublin have had the upper hand on them the last few years, but the margin is getting closer. We've seen the Ladies Championship this year, teams are getting closer to each other, and that's what you want. You want games to be like that, and for teams to step up to the mark. But for Cork, look, there is a lot of positive stakes. They are a young team, as they said, and I'm sure they're going to come back even stronger and better.
Something that Mick Bowen said after the game there was that they have 5 All-Irelands. It just happens that 4 are now in a row. So it's not as if that they have been taken over for a long time. It's just in these last recent years.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, it's nearly like their counterparts. We saw the men here yesterday and doing their few in a row as well. But I think they've set the bar for the rest of the counties in terms of ladies football as well. People involved with them, they brought a different kind of attitude towards football. Their physicality, the way they played the game, they played on the front foot. It's all running football, defend from deep and just attack. And I suppose other teams are trying to mirror that now. So it's, I don't know, it's looking like they've young girls coming up there. Jennifer Dunn, I played with her myself, and last year I was wondering how she wasn't even starting on that team, and you could see her there today. Probably someone who goes unknown, with all the big guns out there. But Jennifer Dunn, for me, and those younger girls coming up are going to make a severe hell of a difference. And it's looking like a tough one for the next few years with Dublin.
And we seen Carla Rowe, she really just stepped up there in the second half. She got 1-3 to her name, and that all-important penalty that really turned the game.
Yeah, for me, I think Carla Rowe was my player of the match, to be honest. She's someone who always gives 100% in every game, probably goes a bit under the radar as well. But you can see the way she stood up to them frees, and that penalty in particular, crucial times, and it was a change in the game as well. But she's a brilliant player. She's very tenacious. It's enjoyable to watch her play. She just runs up and down the field continuously. But when you look at players like that, and you might say, are a few of them going to retire next year? And then you look at the likes of Carla Rowe and Jennifer Dunn, you're like, God, there's a lot more coming up on the conveyor belt.
And for you, your year, how would you sum it all up?
With Tip, it's when you're looking on to that, it's like, geez, you're dreaming of that to happen to you someday. I suppose in Tip, it's probably being from Tipperary, it's more of a hurling county. Probably football is second. We see that with the men's, winning on Bloody Sunday and stuff like that. But to stand here and look on to that, you're looking out in the pitch and you're dreaming that someday that will be us. I suppose when I started playing with Tip first, we were in Division 3. We struggled to get out of Division 3, and now we're in Division 1, so we are actually making progress. But we are a young team again. We'll be hopeful, hopefully in a few years that, dream coming true as a young girl, that we will be out on that pitch as a team and celebrating the way Dublin have been the last few years.
Something that shook me was that the oldest player on your team is 23. You told me that the other day. It's Aishling McCarthy. That's madness. You have so many young players that are coming up, so surely they're just, if you stick together, it will be your year soon.
Hopefully, I suppose Sam is still thereabouts, kind of making her decision yet. We always flag Sam, saying she's bringing up our median age. She's 28, but look, we can only be hopeful. I suppose Dublin, other teams were like us. They started out like us, in a bit of a transition, getting younger players in. I suppose getting your development and stuff right within the county, but. Look, it is exciting. We were happy that we came so close to two very experienced teams this year, is Monaghan and Galway. Lost by a point, but the two of them were deserved winners on the day. And look, we can only learn and move on from that and bring them positives that we learned in them games onto next year.
And you did tip Cork to do it here today. What happened?
Well, I wouldn't come to me anyway if you're putting a bet on the bookies. You'd lose money, but I really thought that Cork were going to do it today. I felt like they were playing with more confidence and less fear than what they were other years. But as I said, I would like to see them play a bit more on the front foot. I think they have the players to do that, and I suppose with the likes of Dublin, you kind of have to take your chances and go man on man instead of playing so defensively. But probably a tip for me is probably just don't listen to me ever again.
Aishling Moloney, thanks very much.